You can't get over if you aren't featured on TV. Welcome back to another video on Influential Sports, and today I'm going to be talking about the women's main roster on WWE and how good and talented I actually think the roster is, but how poor the booking has been. And I'm going to just get straight into it with, well, actually, I'm going to start with NXT and how their women's division has been booked, led behind Shawn Michaels and what he's been able to do with them. Like the Fatal 4-Way match with Julia, Stephanie, Jordan Grace, and Jada Parker, really fun match. Hate that Jada Parker had to take the pin, but Stephanie retaining, like the story they told, it was really good. What they did with Jada Parker recently, it's been great with the Mickey James stuff, with her getting into this match, with her being in the main event spotlight. It's been fun. Lash Legend and Ricard Jackson, they've had their moments. Recently, it hasn't been as great. I don't know what's been happening with that, but they have had their moments in NXT. Roxanne, multiple time NXT Women's Champion. Kalani Jordan won the North American Women's Championship. Was great in both ladder matches back-to-back years. Probably shouldn't have been in the second one, but she was still great in it. Sol Ruka, a double champion now. Zarya, her getting that moment to be in by pinning Lash Legend and getting to this match. And that match wasn't bad with her and Lash Legend. Don't think she should have won, but she did have a good showing in the ladder match. Thea Hale coming back to a huge pop. Now, just the stuff they do alone in NXT with the women's division, them consistently wrestling, them having a women's mid-card champion, them having a having Stephanie as the NXT Women's Champion. Like, it's booked really well. They tell solid stories, and it's because they're featured on TV consistently. Like, every time you go backstage and you see the women, it's not just one or two interacting. There's multiple people on the roster because they all want the top spot. Now, obviously, it's different ways that wrestlers got to get there, but they're all trying to grind to get that top spot. As I'm recording this this will be out Wednesday morning probably. I'm recording this on a Tuesday night. But Thea Hill, she came post stand and delivered. She's backstage. She's all happy. Nobody's rocking with it because since she's been gone for 6 months, so everything changed now. So now she got to readjust to the landscape of what it is now. But she done won back-to-back weeks on NXT. She done went 2-1 in her last 3. The only match she done lost since coming back is the ladder match. So she kind of on the roll right now, and winning back-to-back singles matches by submission too in quick fashion. So they clearly building up Thea Hill well, and I'm liking what they're doing. So shout out to NXT and Shawn Michaels for how well they booked the women's division, because it's, for the most part, it's consistent. Obviously, it's gonna be a few things like Roxanne still being there. That's more on WWE, not NXT per se. And then the stuff with the Meta Girls, that's what I really don't understand. But aside from that, NXT is pretty consistent with their women's division. Like Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, they've been getting their shine. Shotzi, I forgot existed, but she's cool, I guess, because she ain't really doing nothing. But she's still with them, so that's cool. But let's get to the main roster, and because it's gonna be kind of like a fantasy booking, giving my thoughts and opinions. First, let me say, after what Gail Kim did with TNA, she definitely deserves a chance to be a writer for WWE. I still don't know why TNA fired her, but WWE would be the perfect place for her, and I think she could book the women's division very well and help them a lot. Because I'm gonna start with the tag team division. The TNA has Knockouts Tag Team Champions now, which is surprising because I never thought that would happen. But they do, and they've had it for the last few years. But the women's tag teams on the main roster are not bad. They just aren't on TV. How is Zoe Stark going to get over if she's wrestling Lyra on main event? How are the fans supposed to get more behind Lyra if you have her wrestling on main event? You're talking about your women's IC champion, who's a great wrestler, wrestling another great wrestler who doesn't really have a character in Zoe Stark. But she had a fun feud and story with Trish Stratus that they didn't follow up on, and you had them two wrestling each other on main event before the show starts. This when people are getting their snacks before the show starts, before Monday Night Raw starts. So how can you get over if that's the case? Why do you think Lyra is getting booed when Becky turns on her? It's not because Lyra is born, because she's not. It's because she's barely shown on TV, so she can't get us over with the fans. Y'all don't realize that if you're wrestling on the main event right before Raw kicks off, not as many people are seeing that. And then Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler are a good tag team, but they've never won the women's tag team championships. Can somebody explain that to me? That doesn't make sense. That don't make sense at all to me. How they've never been the women's tag team champions, and they've been teaming for a while now. There's been no tease of a breakup or anything like that, and they're still yet to win the titles. And let's say you want to split them. Zoe Stark, I think, has more potential than Shayna Baszler, but will will it really matter? Probably not, because they aren't booked well. And let me say, Liv and Raquel, I like them as a tag team, but I feel like there was other things they could have did with them. If Liv Morgan won at the Raw Netflix debut, you could have told the story and you could have made Roxanne the same dominant woman that she was in NXT and told that story of her going after the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania. That would have been a fun one-on-one match. I wouldn't mind seeing that, because Rhea Ripley was kind of forced into the world title and the world title picture in general. Rhea Ripley is not bad. Let me just say that. But I think, and the triple threat match we got was probably, it was a it was an amazing match. It was probably better than what Liv and Raquel would have did, but I felt like Liv and Raquel would have been more creative, and it would have. I feel like that match would have been fun too. Probably wouldn't have been as good as the women's triple threat match, but it definitely would have been a good match, and definitely would have had an opening spot just like they did. It could have been a fun match. Felt like it was other things they could have did with really all three women that were in the match, but fine, we don't get that. Maybe we revisit it in the future for over the IC title or something. Because I think the way Raquel's been booked now, she's unlikely to be the women's world heavyweight champion. But she could win the IC title. But them as a tag team, they are a great tag team. They just had wrestled 3 straight nights and had good matches, all 3 of them. I think their last, the one on Raw and NXT were the best too. Those matches I consider great. The one on WrestleMania, that was decent at best, maybe good. But the one on Raw and one on NXT, those matches were great. Don't think they should have lost it to begin with, but Liv and Raquel are a great tag team, and I think now Bianca and Jade really helped build up the women's tag team division again. Then Naomi helped after she took out Jade. Then I think Liv and Raquel are trying to do that now with the in-ring work. Like, they can definitely be that team, 4-time tag champions. Well deserved. Wish it didn't happen like this, because Becky and Lyra being champs for just one day is stupid in my opinion. But you have other teams like Maxine and Natalya. You're not really exploring that. You had them team up once for a gauntlet match, but you're barely showing the segments. You're not really showing how this development happened. Then obviously Kairi Sane and Asuka are out right now. I think once they come back from injury, once they're both ready to go, they can have a fun match against Liv and Raquel. I feel like that'd be a solid match, and they could probably win that match. I wouldn't be surprised. And then since the tag team title flow between both brands, I'm just talking about the other teams too. Alba Fyre and Piper Niven, the Secret Herbis. I mean, it's kind of random because I don't know why Alba Dawn was released, because they were a fun team. But her and Piper Niven, that's a solid team, but they're not getting. But their match was cut. It was supposed to be them, and it was supposed to be the Secret Herbis versus Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, and Selena Vega. But the match got cut for whatever reason on SmackDown, and they just did Selena Vega versus Chelsea Green again. And Chelsea Green took losses back-to-back weeks in non-title matches as the champion. We'll get to that in a second. We're back to the tag teams. You could have made Nia Jax and Candice LeRae a tag team. If you showed the Speed title, it could have been like, oh, we're both champions while Tiffany isn't. You could have told that story. And then after she lost, she could have had a rematch for the title, lost again. And you could have been like, I'm not done chasing goals, so me and Candice will go out to the tag titles. I don't know why they didn't explore that, because they're good together. They had, like, I don't think Nia Jax is the greatest promo, but she's definitely improved, and Candice LeRae is an annoying heel, so it plays well into her character. They could be in the tag team division. Like, WWE needs divisions. We need to know these wrestlers in the tag team division, this individual's in the mid-card division going for the US or IC title, or this wrestler is going after the women's world title or the women's championship. We need divisions so we know that, so the wins mean something. So if you're seeing Michin and B-Fab versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, it's a face versus face tag team match. But whoever wins this match, it's gonna move them up in the power rankings to potentially get a shot at the tag titles. You can do heel versus heel, face versus face, if it's even if it don't have a story. Like, it's wrestling at the end of the day, and WWE compares it so much to sports now. So power rankings would mean something. The more wins you get in the NBA, the more likely you are to be MVP if you had the numbers to back it up. So why can't we get divisions? So if Alexa Bliss gets a win and she's in the mid-card division, it moves her up from 2 to number 1. She just needs one more win to move up to number 1 on the power ranking to get a shot at the U.S. title. And then Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, one of the only real women's tag teams on the main roster. They should have been the multiple time champions. I think they only won the tag titles once, which was a solid reign. But they definitely could have got another one and had an even better reign. Then I think those are the tag. Yeah, those are the 8 tag teams that I mentioned. Like, you could do a lot of stuff. You have 8 tag teams, and you're not, even though Nia Jax and Candice LeRae aren't an official tag team, Candice LeRae likely isn't winning the mid-card championship, and Nia Jax will win. I think Nia Jax will win a women's world championship again, just not soon. So you could use him in the tag team division to build some credibility there. Like, you could explore her versus Liv and Raquel again, because you did that before. Even though they teamed up, you could do a heel versus heel tag team match, or you could do, um, like I said, Me Chin and B-Fab. They go against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Then that win, whoever wins, they move up in the power rankings. You have your one tag team champions. You had the 7 teams on the main roster. Like in NXT, you have these teams. You have them wrestling consistently. They're doing segments online, backstage, on the tour bus, etc. So the like the stuff they were doing with Lonnie Jordan and Jada Parker on the tour bus, like WWE needs to explore that more for the main roster, because that was a lot of fun what they was doing. So you could do that. That win, it moves in, like there's 6 on the power rankings out of the 17th, and if they get 2 wins, they'll move up to 5th. I, I feel like WWE wants to compare it so much to sports, but they don't even treat it like that. Obviously, it's sports entertainment, so it's not exactly going to be treated like a sport. But having divisions could really help. Is to make it clear this wrestler is going after this title, so it's not no, oh, he should go after this title or that title, and then he should not, or she or this person isn't doing anything. It's clear that if they're getting these wins, they're able to move up in the power rankings. Then the women's mid-card titles, let's talk about those. The women's mid-card, introducing 2 women's mid-card titles around the same time was a bad idea. Not because of who won them, but how it was constructed. And so my thing is, if they can't get defended on pay-per-views, they can't even get defended the week before WrestleMania. I didn't, no, the week of, the Raw and SmackDown before, they don't even get defended. Chelsea Green, your women's U.S. champion, lost back-to-back weeks to Zelina Vega in non-title matches. First, it was a count-out finish. Then the next week, it was a Zelina pinned her clean with no interference from anybody. So obviously, Chelsea Green is a comedy character, but I'm tired of her getting treated like a joke, because I've seen what she can do on Lucha Underground. I'm ready for Chelsea Green to have a serious character, so I'm ready for her to lose the title, because she's not bad with it. She's had the matches with Michin got really repetitive, and that's what I hated about it, because it's like you have other women on this roster. I'm looking at the roster now. You have B-Fab, Michin, Jade, Naomi, Nikki Cross, Zelina Vega. Now, those just a few names. Obviously, Naomi, I think she's, with how well, obviously with Jade and Naomi's story, with how well it's been, I think they both could float. Like, they could either be in the mid-card main event, and nobody would have a problem with it. Like, I think she's going to be a big star in WWE, but she'll win mid-card titles. She'll win world titles. I'm thinking the same for Naomi. I could see her winning Money in the Bank, which I think would help be a spark in the women's division. But yeah, it's other matches they could have did, and the one match that they potentially wanted to do, they didn't. It was Alexa Bliss versus Chelsea Green, and they didn't follow through with it. So you have Alexa Bliss come back at the Royal Rumble, get the loudest pop of the night. Obviously, I thought she was gonna win it. She didn't, but that's fine. And then you have her beat Candice LeRae in a qualifying match, which was a solid SmackDown match. And then you have her lose the Elimination Chamber, which is no problem with that. So she comes back, has 3 matches, loses 2 of them, which are both gimmick matches, realistically, or stipulation matches, whatever you want to call them. And her only win is against Candice LeRae. And you had potentially Chelsea Green versus Alexa Bliss on the table for WrestleMania. I said, scratch that. These are 2 of the best in-ring workers. Like, I don't think y'all realize it, because Chelsea Green, her character's been watered down, but she can go in the ring. So her at WrestleMania versus Alexa Bliss would have been a fun match. How hard is it to do Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross in a #1 contenders match? The winner faces Chelsea Green at WrestleMania for the U.S. Championship. And let me compare this to sports, since Pat McAfee loved to do it. When Kawhi Leonard gets injured, or LeBron gets injured, or Steph gets injured, do their teams stop playing games? Do they forfeit games? No, they had to continue playing. Rui Hachimura just left the Lakers game as I'm recording this a few minutes ago. Does that mean the Lakers stopped playing? No, the game's still going on. So just because Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy is injured, does that mean that whatever you want to call them, does that mean that the Y6 need to take off? What happened with Damage Control when they had multiple people injured? Dakota Kai and Io Sky was still wrestling. So just because one person out of a 5-person group is out, that doesn't mean take them off TV. That's stupid. You could have told a story with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross on SmackDown instead of having a bunch of nonsensical segments and a bunch of ridiculous ads the entire show and booking a 3-hour show poorly throughout the entire year. You could have did that. Make that tell a solid 3 or 4 week story. Make that a #1 contenders match, and then Alexa Bliss wins and she faces Chelsea Green at WrestleMania for the championship and she wins it. She's one of the best. She could add prestige to that title because she's amazing. She's good on the mic. She's good in the ring. She really doesn't have any weaknesses, so she could be solid with the belt. You can run back her and Nikki Cross, have Alexa Bliss retain, because on Nikki Cross' character now shouldn't have a title. The Nikki ASH character was fun, and that was fun as a world champion, but this character now doesn't need a title, but she can tell solid story. She can be in solid feuds. She could do her versus B-Fab and to determine who moves up in the division rankings or something like that. Like the stuff they did with Jade and Naomi, that was the best story heading into WrestleMania in my opinion. And the match delivered, which made it even better. Like so far through these 4 months, they could be in contention for a feud of the year with how well they built it. And it could continue to go longer, and they could get the U.S. title involved somehow if you get it off of Chelsea Green to get it to Naomi or something. I don't think they have to. I think this story, even without a title, has been really good, and you don't even have to force a title into this feud to make it good. You can even extend this to Money in the Bank, and that's how it ends, with them two on the ladder, and Naomi wins Money in the Bank, because Jade will still be fine. Jade got the win at WrestleMania, so Jade and Naomi the last show on the ladder, then Naomi pushes her off to win the Money in the Bank. Like, proceed with caution. Naomi probably winning Money in the Bank. If not her, it's gonna be Lyra. And then Chelsea Green, like I said, the repetitive matches against Michin, and Michin isn't bad, but it's just like, is she just not gonna win? That's why I'm saying her and B-Fab, they could be a tag team. And then what they did with Lyra and Bayley was so stupid. You had to win the gauntlet match, which the gauntlet match was good in my opinion. I don't care what anybody says. I enjoyed it. It gave the women some time. Obviously, it was a few botches, but that's what happens when you don't put these teams on TV consistently. But yeah, and then the match, like I said, I enjoyed it. I had fun with the match, but Bayley and Lyra shouldn't have won because it didn't make sense. And then you took away Bayley's WrestleMania moment. She just won the world title last year. She's been having a good year so far this year. And you take her moment away and have a Becky Lynch return, and then she turns heel the next night. So they become double champs for one day, so we can get Becky versus Bayley and Becky versus Lyra. Like, those matches are good matches. They won't be bad. They'll be fun matches, actually. They'll probably be fun stories, but it just doesn't make sense. That's the problem with it. It's nonsensical booking. And then Lyra doesn't even defend her title at WrestleMania. Her and Baylor are 1-1. If you tell that story a bit earlier and don't have them in a qualifying match, you could do a third match. You could do a trilogy at WrestleMania. And then you tease the Bayley heel turn. For what reason? So yeah, they've been doing. And then Kiana James, her call-up was kind of random. But if she was healthy, you could do her versus Ivy now. Whoever wins, they move up in the power rankings. Have a power ranking system. I think it would have solved so many problems, not just for the women, but for the men too. I think that would really help. Even Scarlett have a match. Like, I think that would be fun. And then I've kind of been all over the place with it, but I don't know. But the main event picture with Rhea, Io, and Bianca, the match itself was fine, but the way they told it was really stupid, with Rhea crying her way into the match. I feel like there was other avenues they could have explored to get to that match. Like I said, I wouldn't have been mad if Liv retained at the Raw Netflix debut to do Liv and Liv and Raquel. I think they could have been a solid match. But this match was obviously going to be the better match, and it was going to be the bigger match, of course. Not taking nothing away from it. But Rhea should have took the pin, Rhea getting the rematch. I mean, it's cool, but Io Sky should retain. She shouldn't lose it to Rhea. I don't want to see that happen. And then as far as Charlotte and Tiffany goes, it's clear that WWE wants to build Tiffany Stratton. I'm kind of happy that I was split ever since the Royal Rumble win from Charlotte. I was split because it was like, I want to see them build up new stars, but at the same time, the promos haven't been that great, and Charlotte wasn't that great either in the promos, in the promo battles leading up to it. That's why I didn't have a problem with Tiffany retaining. So I'm just like, it's clear that they want to build her up to be the next big star, and I have no problem with that. I don't want to see her have a Charlotte Flair type of career. She doesn't need 16 world titles, because Charlotte's had 16 already. She won 2 on NXT. She's won 1 Divas Championship, 6 on Raw. She's won 7 13 women's championships, 1 Divas championship, and won the NXT women's title twice. So she's at 16, but they don't count NXT for some reason. But now I want to see Tiffany Stratton have a Tiffany Stratton type of career, be a 5 or 6 time champion with solid reigns. But I don't see Tiffany as somebody that's going to be stat pattern. But she puts on good matches. The promos definitely need to improve, but I do like the character of Tiffany Stratton. So I'm still rocking. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the main roster for the women is really good. The women on the main roster are really good. They're just not used well. They're just not booked correctly. That's why I think if WWE hires Gail Kim, it would be a lot better because you have solid tag teams. You have solid women's wrestlers. They just aren't used well. Like Ivy now could definitely wrestle more. You could put Zoe Stark on TV. You can have Zoe Stark versus Laura Valkyria on the Monday Night Raw at like 7:33, like after the opening segment, instead of doing it on main event when people are getting their snacks. Help, you can't get over if you aren't wrestling. That's how people like Lyra and Tiffany Stratton get over. They might not be the best on the mic, but they put on great matches, and that's why they get over, and that's why they're getting this pushes that they're getting now. So Zoe Stark not having the match with Trish Stratus will forever haunt her, because that realistically might have hurt her career, and it might be like that forever. I don't want to over exaggerate, because I hope she gets something, but that could be the cause and effect. Like her not having that match with Trish, that would probably set her back a lot. Like really looking back at it, because there was no reason for them to not have that match. And then Trish would come back too. But that's my opinion. Let me know what y'all think. Leave a like on the video. Comment in the comment section what y'all think. Do y'all think the women's main roster is talented, or do y'all think that they aren't talented? That's why they aren't getting booked that well. But if you're new to the channel, subscribe and peace out.